Okay, let's make this work. I have a little time to do this. I'll continue it later on and tack both those videos together, but here's the main idea. This isn't Krita, this isn't GIMP, this isn't Paint.net, or Psy. It isn't even Clip Paint Studio. Instead, it's Blender. And I say it like that because its grease pencil module, even in this state, is incomplete. I have cried over and over again about what's lacking in this tool, what's missing, how poorly this tool is being treated. Yet, I'm stuck using it by large because it is in an environment I'm familiar with. But enough about that. Let's just get started right away. Just be aware that some of my controls might be different from yours. I say this because I'm using right click select while everyone else is using left click or possibly industry standard. The settings carried over from 2.7x. I've been using it long before. Enough about that, let's get on with this. What I am attempting to draw is a human, a regular person. The hair will be dead last. The eyes and hair will be dead last. And probably even the nose. The first thing we need to do is draw some circles. No, I'm not kidding about that. We're drawing circles. I'm using a mouse and keyboard, by the way. Yeah, don't worry about this. Don't sweat the details here. We can fix this a little later. Okay, now we've gotten that out of the way. Let's draw some lines right about here. Let's draw some connecting lines, I like to call them. I know what this looks like, just bear with me. I'm not pulling your leg, I swear on my life. I am very much drawing legs. And at this stage, you can choose to make them thinner or thicker depending on preference. I'm gonna make them a little thinner here, because I don't want them to intersect. But it'll have to wait a little bit. Those are very much feet. Those are very much feet. I'm going to try to draw shoes later, but that's my one weakness. Instead, we'll just draw the rest right now. I know I'm being the slightest bit indecisive right now. Just bear with me. The same way we drew connectors for legs is the same way we're drawing connectors for arms. You can just point this in any direction you want. Yep, we're drawing them the same way. The hands are a simpler process. They're a little easier for me than the legs. I mean the feet. I mean the shoes. What I'm doing is duck's bill, shorter side, longer side. I'm using left click for most of this process. I'll record myself and say that in the beginning, just so we're on the same page. Second longest, first longest, second shortest, first shortest. Thumb. I will iterate over this the same way I iterate over the other two hands for the webbing part. The webbing does exist. But for right now, I need to draw the base of the hands before I draw the fingers, because since we're going to be drawing clothing in this video, things are going to get a little messy when I start drawing with thinner stroke lines. So we'll leave it at that for now. Right now, we need to focus on the head. Too small. To redo, Control-Shift-Z. Unlike most programs where redo is Control-Y, in Blender, it's Control-Shift-Z. Okay, that's much better. Here, let me draw that over here to help you understand a little better. The circle is the main part of the head, the top of the head, and then for the chin, we just do this. You can make the chin any shape you want. Here, we're going to take this information and draw a neck. Even though it's behind the head, we're going to draw it anyway. That looks to be a little too small for the body. And so naturally, we're just going to try again with a bigger head this time. There we go. But I did say I would iterate over this. And so the question is how. Don't worry, we're getting to the shoes. We will. Before I do that, however, new layer time. So I just remembered we still need to add the clothing. So many intersecting lines, it's getting messy. Just bear with me. In the case of it being pants, we may as well just draw a straight line and then proceed to draw legs the same way. Where typical behavior of pants, they would widen at the top and narrow at the bottom. And for the collar here, we draw a line right there. If it's just a collar, you can draw a line curving upwards. But if it's a turtleneck, you can also draw a line curving downwards. I think it's time we got rid of most of these lines, the lines we don't need. But I am going to edit some, just a little bit. Because some of these lines, I could just trace over them right now, But then I'd be a huge jerk in telling people to just try to guess which lines they want and which they don't. That would be really messy work. That is possible. It's just too messy to tell people how to start this way. So let's start erasing. Now, this person is wearing a shirt, so the lines on the inside can go. So go the leg lines. That means, in theory, if they weren't wearing clothing, you could just draw over most of these lines and call it a day. Most meaning not the inside lines. In fact, let's do that instead. I'm going to use the same line width and just trace over the lines that matter most. It doesn't matter how many strokes this takes. All that matters is that I'm as accurate as possible, not painstakingly, just enough. In future videos, I will alter the method to my own taste. For the purpose of this video, I'm trying to make people's lives easier, not increasingly difficult. Hmm, the legs are a little fat here. Before we continue tracing that, let's fix that a little bit. Let's thin this down without going through the pain that is erasing things. How much thinner do we want these legs to be? Well, I don't know about you, but right about here works. Same goes here. It looks a little weird right now, but that's okay. We are drawing clothes over this, If we weren't, then we'd have to be a little careful when we're drawing later and iterating over this and adding smooth lines. I'm not being entirely accurate, I'm just being as close as possible. Or should I say, as close as necessary, excuse me. Maybe that would help ease the process with the clothes, with clothing in here. And so we're gonna make another layer and draw over the clothing lines we want, the ones that matter. In relation to the head, this line back here cannot be seen. The collar exists, and so this line in the middle does not exist either. Don't draw this line. Hit undo if you did. We need to decide right now which arm's in front of the shirt and which arm is behind it. For argument's sake, this arm is behind it. That means the line I draw stops right about here. However, this line continues. This line can be seen, this line can't. Pant legs. This one's in front, this one's behind. And so for end trace, this hand can't be seen. We should make our lives easier when we trace over this. But then again, for the final trace, the shirt is going to be over most of this. And so the only thing we're going to be drawing is this hand here. But there is one thing I have to address. Shoes. But how do we know where the shoe has depth? I am not very good at this. If the shoe's on the left hand side, draw the line here. I drew that like crap, but that's okay because the smooth tool exists. It looks so incorrect, but that's as close as we're gonna get. In this tutorial anyway. We will work on that with thinner lines. And there are two ways we can do this. I'll explain them both very shortly. It's iterating time, and it's time to explain it. We're going to iterate by drawing lines that are necessary, not the lines that aren't. We will be using a thinner stroke for this. This section will be left alone because there's a tool in Blender that might be able to make your life easier if you don't feel like doing it this way. I had to skip that line a little because thinner strokes and you need to connect. Baby fingers, but it'll have to do for now. Yes, I was mildly confused by this intersecting. I was mildly confused by this intersecting line right here. I was very much confused. All this, and I haven't even gotten to the hair yet. But I do need to explain this alternative method I've been I've been advertising the entire time. There's a sculpt mode, and of course, there's a smooth brush. But that's not what I'm advertising. You can get it straight, by the way. What I am here to talk about is the line width option. You can also access this with Shift Spacebar. So, as is, pressing left mouse would widen the stroke width, but holding I start there a moment. Please bear with me. Holding control while trying to do this would thin the strokes. So if you lower the strength a little and you don't want to thin it too much, there you go. Without having to trace over everything, the lines are thinner that way. Okay, fine. It's time to talk about hair. So what kind of hair are we trying to draw? I don't think you're going to try to draw what I normally draw. Let's draw some realistic hair, for instance. Let's start with something long and then work our way down to something short. We need to draw boundary lines for this right now, like we're drawing a shirt over this character here. That will be the back of the hair. And so you can just draw lines that depicts that the hair is separated in some way. Given some distance. And delete the inner lines that don't matter anymore. For the front, it would probably be the same thing, but it result in a hair in a facial cover of the hair. There is one more way to do that. It's called lines. Let's draw some. But how do I expect you to achieve that when you have lines that are so close to each other? That would be way too messy. Unless you go back a layer and then delete those lines when you're done so you can tell them apart. So, what I should probably say is this works best when you're using thinner strokes. Or, alternatively, before you use thinner strokes, draw one line at a time, draw around those lines, and then erase the inner lines as you go along. I know I'm basically shooting in the dark here, but I'm trying to make life easier. Then, when you iterate it, you can just draw the ends with the thinner stroke lines. So for the line method, you can apply this for any hairstyle you want. Any hairstyle you could think of. But if that doesn't work, you could always use the clump method as a fallback if the hair applies to it. Doesn't matter how. Doesn't matter what happens. Oh, right. I did say I'd go over the eyes. Let's do that right now. If you can't erase a line, chances are the stroke is not subdivided enough for you. So you can go into edit mode and fix this. See? Right there. Okay, realsies this time. It's time for eyes. Enter a line stroke because this is where it gets ugly. And you can choose to do this from any angle you want. Say hello to your nightmare fuel. Eyes are one of the few things you want to immediately draw with a thinner stroke line. Animating is a later point. I have to stop here. I've lost enough sleep over this. I'll wait to tell you about animating until I get feedback from this. I need to know whether this will work or not. I'm going to use Bateman's technique here. I'd like to think I'm doing a great job at telling people how to draw, but there were clearly some flaws in my plans between shoe design, misproportionate hands, the attempt to explain hair, and holy crap, these eyes are staring into my soul. If this is going to be helpful, I'll need all the feedback I can get. I'm going to send this to you and ask you what you think.